Okay. When Lehi was commanded by God to leave Jerusalem after his great theophany, he traveled 3 days into the wilderness, made camp, and gave thanks. In 1 Nephi chapter 2, verse 7, we read, "And it came to pass that he built an altar of stones, and made an offering unto the Lord, and gave thanks unto the Lord our God." When Lehi's sons returned from a perilous journey back to obtain the brass plates, he gave thanks. In 1 Nephi chapter 5, verse 9, we read, "And it came to pass that they did rejoice exceedingly, and did offer sacrifice and burnt offerings unto the Lord, and they gave thanks unto the God of Israel." When Lehi's sons traveled to Jerusalem once more and returned to camp with Ishmael's family, Lehi gave thanks. In 1 Nephi chapter 7, verse 22, we read, "And it came to pass that we did come down unto the tent of our father, and after I and my brethren and all the house of Ishmael had come down unto the tent of my father, they did give thanks unto the Lord their God, and they did offer sacrifice and burnt offerings unto him." When Nephi returned to camp with beasts to his starving family after having made a new bow and a new arrow, Lehi gave thanks. In 1 Nephi chapter 16, verse 32, we read, "And it came to pass that I did return to our tents, bearing the beasts which I had slain. And now, when they beheld that I had obtained food, how great was their joy! And it came to pass that they did humble themselves before the Lord, and did give thanks unto him." Giving thanks by sacrificing burnt offerings was regulated by the law of Moses as a voluntary offering. Some of the elements of this ordinance included the offering, the one who makes the offer, the place of offering, a priest, fire, and blood. The beasts offered included oxen, sheep, lambs, and goats, to name just a few. Some of the criteria of acceptable offerings were the animals had to be clean or kosher and could also be used as food. They also had to be free from physical flaws. The sacrificial animal was a representation of the future Savior Jesus Christ, who lived a sinless life and who would become the great and last sacrifice for sin to which the law of Moses pointed. In every case, before the animal was slain, the offerer placed his hands upon its head. This symbolized one of two things, depending on whether the offering was voluntary or obligatory. If the offering was obligatory, the offerer placed his hands on the animal's head with a confession of his sins. In this way, his sins were symbolically imputed to the animal. It then became a symbolic substitute for the individual, and it suffered the consequences of sin, the wages of sin being death. In this way, the Lord stressed the vicarious nature of the work through which man's sins are forgiven. If, on the other hand, the offering was voluntary, the offerer said a prayer as he placed his hands on the animal's head. This symbolized a transferal of the feelings of his heart, which impelled him to bring this gift to the Lord. In this way, the offerer demonstrated total self-surrender to the will of God. It was this that made these offerings a sweet savor or a pleasing odor to God. Now, contrast this with yesterday's video where I read in Isaiah chapter 1 about the Lord being offended by the vain offerings of the Israelites, who were called rulers of Sodom, and people of Gomorrah, who polluted the temple with their vain offerings. I'll just finish now by reading D&C section 78, verses 19 and 20. "And he who receiveth all things with thankfulness shall be made glorious, and the things of this earth shall be added unto him, even an hundredfold, yea, more. Wherefore do the things which I have commanded you, saith your Redeemer, even the Son Ammon, who prepareth all things before he taketh you."